I suspect that all of you have a very clear idea of the significance of the story here in Zimbabwe. I don't think I have to tell you that. I think that your response is, whatever it is very valid. I think that there were times during the play that I heard ahs and oohs and vocal reactions to lines that the characters said, and I felt like they connected with your reality here. August Wilson is very important to the United States, very prominent African-American playwright. He died in 2005, unfortunately, but really a fascinating man, and very unconventional life that he led. He ended up dropping out of school when he was about 15. I think he was like Sterling in that he was faster than everybody else, and he had a lot of trouble with his teachers. He was always getting in trouble and getting kicked out of school. So he dropped out eventually, and he educated himself in the library. He'd go to the library every day. He didn't want his mother to know that he dropped out of school. So he went to the library, and he read, and he read, and he read. And he was inspired by the writers that he read. And he lived in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, and the characters that surrounded him really peopled his plays. He wrote this 10-play series called the Pittsburgh Cycle that chronicles African-American life, one play per decade in the 20th century. And I think this final play of the series really highlights the struggle for African Americans, especially I think in this play African American men, to have a solid sense of their place in the American society. And the argument that Roosevelt and Sterling have, I think, is a particularly ugly one and so painful to listen to. They're both right and they're both wrong about everything that they say. And so I think Wilson has really delivered to us some powerful insights about what it has been to be African American in the United States. And for that, we're very lucky and grateful.
I think one question I'd ask is, how was it directing that particular play with this particular cast? And how did you end up choosing, going with who you went with, and what was your experience bringing this play to them?
Well, I felt that the characters and the issues connected with them without problem. It was it was hard work getting the background, the culture, and the language alive. And it's interesting for me to be working with English speakers whose English is so different than my own. And you realize how important phrasing and intonation is. You can say a question as simple as, what is life? If you say, what is life? Versus, what is life? And it takes on a really different sense and a different meaning. And I feel like we could have probably spent a full month just getting to this point, perfecting the language, working on the phrasing and the pronunciation. And it's not just sort of generic American English either. It's very definitely African American, Pittsburgh, 1990s. It's just loaded from that point of view. So that was a big challenge. And we came a long way. I don't know that we were 100% successful yet, but for where we are, I think we've done a really good job. In terms of selecting the actors, it's always a question of who's interested and who's available and who comes out to the audition. Some of these actors I've worked with before, and some of them are brand new. always a little bit of kismet involved. Right place, right time.
I'd like to open the floor to the audience on your opinion of the work that you've heard today on Radio Gold. Any questions for the actors or for the director? Anything?
Just a comment. I believe you only had 6 days of rehearsal, is that true? Yeah, for 6 days of rehearsal, you've come an incredibly long way. So I just want to congratulate you on that.
What was it with the movement? Was it for us, to benefit? I don't know.
That's a great question. And with a staged reading, you always have that issue of, well, okay, how far am I going to try to take the movement? I mean, you can, as we did with Raisin in the Sun, sit the actors down at tables, and other than looking at each other, there's really no movement. And audience members had trouble with that too. They said, oh geez, I wish there'd been some movement. Dead Man's Cell Phone and The Convert were more similar to this in that there was movement. As an actor, I find it very difficult to be fully vocally expressive without using my body a little bit. I mean, if you watch actors doing voiceover for animated movies or something, they're not sitting in front of it. They're very expressive physically, and I think you just want to sort of let free that range of expression, and the body kind of naturally follows. But I mean, we didn't get deeply into blocking, and the movement here today looked different than it did yesterday. Sometimes I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing. But yeah, it was mostly about letting the characters be 3D,
Sorry, Sandra, then
I think just to support your answer on the movement, I think, as an actor, the way you move, even if people cannot see you, actually helps in the delivery. Because I know for a lot of people, a lot of other actors who do voiceovers, you find when you get into the studio, you're not sitting. There's a certain actor who wants to sit. There's a certain actor who likes to stand with their legs apart and move this way and that. I think it actually helps in the delivery and how you draw energy from yourself. I think it helped a lot during the delivery.
So I guess we'll have to find a balance between not sitting completely and not moving too much.
I think maybe the balance is driven by the play itself. I did feel like this play is so heavy on words. There's so many words on the page, and I think that you might be right that I should have maybe just anchored the actors a little bit more, and that might have cleaned up the language in some places where there was some wandering from the writing.
Just to build up on the movement thing, I have a suggestion. But where you have the actors and then you draw a circle around them, so they can do whatever they want, but they just can't get out of the circle. It's like a reading, but it's like we see the expression, we see the character trying to come out, and then we fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
We fill in the gaps of what they want to do. So the circle around them, maybe.
That's a very fun thing.
Thank you for that. All right, well, I don't know if...
No, I'd like to hear from the actors, actually, a little bit about their experience trying to get inside the heads of these foreigners. Was that, how foreign was it? I mean, did it feel like part of your reality, or were you projecting a very foreign reality?
For me, the story was clear, and the struggles that the characters were going through were clear to me. But my main issue was some of the language, even some expressions, like when I read it the first time, or even the second time, or even now, there are certain expressions that are there that mean something in my own understanding of English, but then in that side, it means totally different, So that was the main challenge in terms of, like saying it the proper way. That was the major challenge, the language, and even the phrasing, Like,
I think for me, it was mainly to do with finding who Sterling was. I started seeing her way, and in a way still trying to keep to my way, trying to find that balance. And even up to now, there's certain things that I still don't understand about Sterling Johnson, but as you move, you start to understand. Because, like exactly what Rutendo was saying, that is he autistic? He moves around a lot. He lays his words, he seems to settle people a lot. He's so good with his words. And he's had this really, really weird life. He's so open with whatever he says. He's been to jail, but it's nothing much to him. So all those things were a bit difficult to find out at first. But as you went on, as we were rehearsing, reading the script, you start getting those things out there. And the issue of connection, trying to find who Sterling was, it wasn't exactly an easy process. The story, yes, you could understand it, but the character, I struggled. But I think I was getting there.
And then I'm maybe also answering your question to say the issue of accent. We are translating things from Shona to English, and then English to American accent. Whereas the director is just translating from. If I was going to read a Shona book for some other Zimbabweans, I'll understand it faster and more quickly, and I'll kind of like have the words in my head and the picture. But now, because it's a separate word from us, you're saying, okay, fried chicken. But then I'm thinking of my fried chicken in Bari, where you have this. So how I'm going to project that would also really, can also affect my physicality and how I pronounce that and how I understand that. So I think also language, and also it's not that old. 1977, some of the things are happening. Yeah, not my old Joe, But also accent will really, it's a big deal. There's a point in time where we're sharing with these guys to say, you know what, just say as if you're saying in Shona. So that you don't go like, oh my fried chicken, oh my fried chicken. And you totally go out of the place. It's also trying to balance the kind of the language. I think in Shona interpreted in English and then projected in African American stuff.
Yeah, I think it was a bit challenging. When I first received the script, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? My English is very different from this English, and how am I gonna do? And in my head, I had to watch some American movies to find out how am I gonna act as an American in Zimbabwe. We had our own ways, and then it was difficult. It was a bit challenging. But I wanna thank Miss Julie here. She was like, no, you don't have to act it a lot, just deliver the words. And it was difficult. You want to express the other words that you have to express, like you are saying a line and you have to express it. But then when you come back to the script, you don't know where were you. So you gotta go until you find your next line, or it's either you do it by verse or something like that. But it was a bit challenging, and I love it.
And also being a dynamic and new approach in Zimbabwe, this play reading series, for a first-time actor or actresses and a more kind of like professional actor, it's also different how we're going to do it, because it's a mixture of first-time actors like on stage, and then others who have done these script reading sessions, and others like me who don't know what a script is. So that mixture also kind of also affecting the process, how you deal with.
Also, in terms of getting the world, I think we need to applaud Miss Julie for the research that she did in terms of.
No, you need to.
I'll applaud you. Because she should come to the rehearsal space with different photographs and maps of the actual Pittsburgh and the actual Hill district, and even the certain names, Starbucks, Noble, what, City Parks, all those projects, and you describe how they look. So visually, as you are delivering the line and trying to understand the language, you try to put those different pictures. So I think your dramaturgy was excellent. It helped a lot in
Because I thought Starbucks was a hospital.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I'd like to hear from
Roosevelt.
The man.
No nasty words.
First and foremost, I would like to thank you guys for finding this time to come and support this project. I can give you a standing ovation on that one. Okay, I read this book called Mind, Character and Personality on page 336. It said, it is a law of both intellectual and spiritual that by beholding you become changed. So during the course of the 6 days in which I was going through Miss Julie, as I was taking an excursion into the character of Roosevelt, I discovered some traits of my character as well. So I believe, not on the bedside, but it has ignited me to the enlightenment that not all humans, in fact, every human is not wholly perfect. Every human has got a dark side to him. So it has taken me on a reflection, on an excursion, to take care of all those parts that are a bit shabby and dark in my life. So it was quite an experience, even though I faced some language problems, some language barriers. But with the help of Miss Julia, she held the cheese and molded me into the product that I've become.
What is the name of your radio station again?
WBTZ Radio.
Thank you very much for coming out this afternoon.
And can I just acknowledge, please, Prudence, who was our stage manager, and Ferrero, who was the assistant director. He provided great moral support, and of course, Patience and Almasi that makes it all happen.
I don't know why Terry was sitting right in the back when he was part of the team. But thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. Please do spread the word about the next reading. We want to see increased audience numbers. It starts off as a trickle, then it becomes a stream, a river, and we hope for a flood of audience members. Yeah, so thank you so very much. We really value you, and we hope to see you again.
How do we get on your mailing list?
Good question. Prudence can take your email address. And, yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.